managed to hatch out 10 of the silkies. Hopefully there are 4 or 5 hens in there. That's what I'm hoping, because I want to try to do that brood. It shrinks, but I do that so that the feed doesn't sit to the back, and I don't have feed go bad.
Oh, that's spray foam there.
Spray foam with concrete on top of it. I haven't cleaned this one out. It's just sitting here.
What's the purpose of those holes in the back?
You talking about on top, on the inside?
Right straight inside.
I guess so it can breathe. I don't know.
The thing that drives me nuts is this hole should be bigger in these things.
Yeah.
That's why I don't like those little feeders we got. What is that? You got chicks already?
Yeah. Oh, those are silky chicks.
Where'd you get them from?
I wonder. I was telling you.
That's the same thing they use for rats.
Yeah.
That would work for rats.
I had a bunch of English sparrows that were tearing the garden up, so I put this out. And
So you haven't tried to use them for rats?
no, not for rats yet.
Because they actually have
Some
rat traps like this. Yeah. We went to what was his name there? Greg Tashney's, and he was catching them like hell. These things.
Well, this one, Rich brought one 2 or 3 years ago to auction off at the club. And I remembered it, but I didn't take measurements or anything or pictures, so it was kind of like, all right, now I know what the mechanism was, so it's all kind of seat of the pants engineering with scraps.
Yeah, you would just have to make this longer for a rat.
Right, correct.
Because, and actually, I've seen rat traps too with like a little spring on it, where they just walk in and
Drop.
like those. I think it's a tin cat mouse trap.
All right, so we were going to talk about the 7 dust and lime and freshening the pens every quarter. I buy 4 bags of lime, barn lime, slip lime, hydrolyzed lime. Different brands call it different stuff. But then I get those packages of 7 dust, and I mix that into 200 pounds of lime, stir it up real good, and we put that into the pens when we clean them and rake them out. And I thought I don't have any. I've got one of those like 4-prong pitchforks that I just I rake the surface and rake it in with a hard time rake. And like I said, we try to do that every quarter along with worming. We worm every quarter, and then 10 days later do another course of wormer. And
So what time of year do you do that?
I do it 4 times a year. Like first part of January, then we'll hit it again in April. Summer, I won't say exactly when in summer because I'm not real fastidious about the summer quarter. Then in the fall, first part of fall.
What good is it going to do in the wintertime?
In the wintertime, raking all the stuff into the soil?
Yeah.
I'm just freshening the pens up by then and raking out all the. You saw the leaves on top.
Of course, you don't have any frost either, so.
Yeah. So
But you're putting the lime in there in the wintertime?
I do the lime in it every time just as habit. I don't know that it does any good in the wintertime. It's of course a habit. I take a bucket and I have like a scoop, and I just sprinkle it till I get kind of a snow dusting across the pen and rake it in with a rake.
So we were talking
Couldn't
about
tell you how much.
Well, we're talking about using 7 dust, and I mentioned
Sulfur.
flowers of sulfur.
Right.
The one advantage probably on the 7 dust is you probably have, when the birds dust themselves with it, is you might have more, might get rid of the parasites better than the flowers of sulfur. I don't know. But I know that the flowers of sulfur will kill, most of the parasites in the soil.
Years ago, when I was younger and dumber, I had some of the first losses of birds I had that were contributed to owner-operator error, I guess. I'd gotten sparrows that had built nests back in my pens, and they brought mites in.
Yeah. I get them bringing lice in. I get the starlings that bring lice into my chicken coop every because they get in there and they actually like to sit underneath my chickens to stay warm.
Oh wow!
up in New York.
Oh, okay.
So so they get under my chickens to stay warm, but they bring lice in every winter. They bring lice in. So in the springtime, I end up having to use some 7 dust on the chickens to get rid of all the lice.
My first case where I lost a bird, and I went in and picked up the dead bird, and my arm started burning. I mean, it literally felt like a torch on my arm, and it was
a bunch of lice on it.
lice were chewing me up. And when I finally figured that out, and I blew on the bird, I could see the lice.
Was that lice or mites?
Probably my
Yeah,
whatever it was.
mites.
It was biting.
Yeah.
So a little bit of research I did, I was taking 7 dust then, and I would catch. I went in and had to catch all the birds, and I sprinkled the 7 dust around the vent and underneath the wing and between the shoulders on the wings, and just kind of rubbed it in. And then I think 3 or 4 days later, I took promethium and sprayed that under the wings and on the neck and everything. But
that actually works pretty good too.
Yeah,
that's more of a natural type.
right. Everybody says you only need to do one or the other, but at that point, like I said, I'd lost a bird. And,
well, I think you're supposed to like redo it every 3 weeks or something like that. So,
but I took the whole pen and we sprayed the whole pen with promethium, and that's where I first started putting the 7 dust in with the lime. But yeah, English sparrows brought it in, because when I took the nest out, the nest was covered. The whole nest was covered in them. So that's the reason I probably do the lime and 7 dust probably more frequently than I need, having gone through that experience of being bitten and chewed up. And it's like, yeah, okay, that was uncomfortable. I don't want any bird to go through that. So I do it more than I should. We were going to talk about doors, right? The best tool I've ever bought is a Craig pocket hole drill fixture. And what it does, let's see if we can see it. When I build my doors, I figure out my length minus my uprights, and I pocket hole all those pieces. And it's real quick to do. You put on, clamp it. You have a collar on your drill bit, and it's set to a certain depth based on the thickness of the wood. I pocket hole it, and I can cut all my pieces for all the doors and have them stacked up and sit there in an afternoon and put all the doors together. I mean, I do my panels the same way. I build all my panels with pocket hole, and I use polyurethane glue, and I put the diagonals in it just so the doors don't rack later. I've never had one that was pocket holed ever rack on me. But again, just like the 7 dust, if a little's good, a lot's got to be better, right? So I tend to overdo it. Probably doesn't need them, but that's...
So you had to adjust these collars every time you drill, or?
Normally you would, but I guess I'm lazy, so I buy different drill bits, and I set them all for different depths. So I just grab the bit that corresponds to the hole that I need to put in. And I've got other drill bits. I can do 1/2 inch, 3/4, 1 inch, 1.5 inch, and 2 inch material. And I just buy, like I said, I buy the drill bits.
Or you just put tape on it.
Yeah, and that way I can just go to that. Yeah. Okay, for my latches, I usually put an eye hook on the inside, so when I go in I can latch it. I also put springs on all my doors so that I don't forget to close the door. It shuts behind me. Outside, I just use a hasp like a padlock goes into. Some of the pens have like farm gates where you can close it and automatically has a bar that drops down. Word of advice, don't use those unless you have a string on it tied to the fence so you can open it when you're inside the pen and it locks while you're inside and nobody's home. Because I couldn't get my fingers through 1 inch wire to get to it, so it's a valuable lesson. Don't do that. The ones that do have those type of latches on it have a piece of chain that comes up that I can grab the chain and pull, and it pulls the latch up so I can get out. But I just do a screen door eye on the inside and hasp on the outside, because we put padlocks on all our pens. I don't know why. It's easier for me than the spring latches because I probably should have a routine for going around and putting WD-40 in those spring latches, but I didn't, and I had some of them that rusted shut and I couldn't open, and then I had some that didn't
You
shut.
get the ones that you squeeze no both ends on.
Both, right. So padlocks, not that they're locked, but they're easy to hook it in, and it takes a lot to make it go around the whole U-bolt to get out. So that's the way I've been doing it. I use 3-inch hinges. Again, there's an industrial supply house behind me, and I buy a case of like, I think it's 30 hinges or 36 inches. They're a couple bucks each at the most. Fairly inexpensive. Yes, they rust. It's bird pens, I don't care. Sign. All my doors I build 2 feet wide. I'm fairly small guy, so I can get into a 2-foot width. Again, my pins have to be at 6 feet or under, so most of my doors are 68.5 inches tall, which is, problematic if you're taller than I am. But I typically am ducking in when I go in because I have buckets of feed with me.
Or you just raise them up.
Yeah, I could just raise them up. Yeah. Then I'd trip. I'm clumsy. So. The doors go together quick. The oldest pens down there are 22 years old. They were all put together with the polyurethane glue, which is non-organic like liquid nails. Liquid nails will last about a year and a half outside. Polyurethane glue, the wood will rot away and the glue will be sitting there. It sticks. It really does. And it makes for a really strong structure. Having built boats for so long, I build kind of on that guidelines with the scantlings and monocoque type construction. So each piece, while it may not be that strong, but once they all go together, the whole structure is really strong. And if you eliminate one part of it, the structure won't hold up. But we can get some fairly strong pins built that way. I've had trees come down back there. The only pins that I lost were pins that I built using post and rail type construction, and I lost every one of those, every single one of them. The pins that were built using the monocoque style, I think 3 of the pins got a broken board, and that was it. And I just pushed it back up with a little glue in the crack and put a scab on it. They're still down there today. It just works for me, and I have some code issues I have to adhere to here. Certain municipalities, if you penetrate the ground, it's considered a permanent structure, and they want their little bite. None of mine penetrate the ground, so they're all portable structures.